Shalom Aleichem, good people. At first, I want to say that I'm praying every day 3 times for Reb David Raphael, the son of Leonora. I remember you, Reb David. I hope you will be able to see this presentation in Israel. I'd like to send you a copy of that DVD too. And you, Reb David Cooper, thank you so much for urging me to do this. When I was at Temple University, I had a little sticker, something like a bumper sticker, that said, "Put the elf back into self. Put the elf back into the self." That was Reb David's notion, because he knew very well that as a son of a Jungian uh, analyst and himself a very, very good and skilled psychologist, he served as the dean of the Transpersonal Institute in Palo Alto, and I had the privilege of being able to teach there under him. And what a wonderful story is his story. It's a story so many of us went through. We had to go outside our own frame in order to be able to find the connection, because Judaism in so many ways had become so busy with everything else and became opaque to God and to that light. So he went to India. And Satya Sai Baba at one point said that he should go home and find it in Judaism. And it was after that that I met him, and he had met Shlomo Karlebach, Zichron Levracha. And there he deepened himself in such an amazing way, learning about davening and about the music. When I think about the way in which he was singing about, a senior moment, and it doesn't want to come right now, but I'll remember mittendrin when I talk a little bit later. When I listen to him teach, he has such a good way of being able to tell people about where motivation was and how it had to be dealt with in which world. And I think it was at that time when we were in Bombay in 1982. For this, Reb David, you deserve a big yashikoach. Because what had happened was that the transpersonal people had decided to have that great meeting on mysticism in Bombay. And they had Muktananda, and they had Dom. No, I remember. I know him, I see him, and I can't remember his name right now at this point. But Mother Teresa was there, and the Dalai Lama couldn't come because he was ill at that time. And all the people, Jack Cornfield and Joe Goldstein and Ramdas, and all of us were there, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time. But at the beginning, they didn't have anything. They had all the religions there, but nothing on Judaism. So it was you, Reb David, who raised the flag for us. And we managed to be able to get the help because none of us could afford the trip and the hotel space and everything else. And you made it possible for us to go there. And we had one evening that was a wonderful evening. At that point, you were teaching, and you were saying, imagine there is a baby. And the baby is crying. The baby is hungry. Mother picks the baby up, puts it to her breast. And the baby is satisfied and relaxes. And sometimes the baby is cold, and mother picks the baby up, puts it to her breast, and relaxes. The baby is confused, and again the breast soothes the baby. The baby is upset, and again the mother soothes the baby. And then we grow up, he said. And when we are hungry, we go to the fridge. And when we are upset, we go to the fridge. And when we are lonely, we go to the fridge. And so the point that he made was very, very clear. When you grow up, you have to know the difference between what your hunger is for and where to go to find a way to take care of that. Later on in Berkeley one time, I gave a talk together with Reb David Wolf Blank, Olav Hashalom, on the issue of economy in the world. Because you see, there really are enough resources in the world to be able to take care of what we need. And on the physical plane, with the physical resources. But when we want to use physical resources to take care of our emotional needs or of our mental needs or our spiritual needs, then there isn't enough to go around. So if we want to fix the economy, we have to take Reb David's notion very, very clear and to say that physical needs we solve on this plane. And higher needs we go to the higher planes to solve. But most people don't know how to do that. And here comes the other part of Reb David's wonderful idea. And that has to do with the enchantment, the re-enchantment of the cosmos. What we see today is that there are so many people who have studied Kabbalah, but they don't have the enchantment of Kabbalah. Enchantment means that when you use those words, sfirot and worlds, you go into them. When you do meditation, you're not doing it in a bubble enclosed by yourself, but you're doing it nochach b'nei Hashem, in the presence of God. Now it comes. For with you is the source of life. For with you is the source of light. For with you is the source of light. In thy light do we see light. Ki imcha mekor chayim. Ki imcha mekor chayim. Ki imcha mekor chayim. Be'orcha nireot. So when people open a book to study Kabbalah, and they don't sing and niggin, and they don't place themselves in the presence of the living God, then it doesn't happen, and it lacks the enchantment. And so we are in this situation celebrating you, Reb David, in your teaching, and so very, very grateful for that. You have a story. I wish I could tell that story right, and I don't remember it. But you had met a Shinto teacher. And I do hope, Reb David Cooper, that you will find in Reb David's book, in his latest book that he has, beautiful description of his meeting with the Shinto teacher and what he had to say about Judaism and the task that we had taken on in this world. Reb David Leben, you have done so much. You have carried Reb Shlomo's teaching, but in such a way that it evoked respect for the depth of the teaching, because you know how to be able to connect it to not only the spirituality, but also the depth psychology that comes out of the Jungian scheme. How wonderful it was when you would explain to people the Jungian way of looking at different types, that there's a sensation type, a feeling type, a reasoning type, and an intuitive type. No, what are those for if not the four worlds of Kabbalah? But for many people, the four worlds of Kabbalah are some concept up there and not to be appropriated in such a way that they can do life with this. So, all of you who are there, I would like you to be able to look at all these things again in the way in which Reb David would teach them. Re-enchant your own life. Go back. When you come to a shul, don't only come to the shul on the physical plane. Open the aperture to the other world. When you say the words, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, Allow yourself to go into the landscape where Abraham proclaims the oneness of God, where Isaac is offering his life for God's service, where Jacob is suffering through freezing cold and heat of the day and having trouble with his kids, and nevertheless is living the dream in which the ladder stands on the ground and its head reaches the heavens. These are the kinds of things that, when you go into their depth, it is so beautiful. So I want to say that you will have a wonderful retreat and a good teaching at that time, that you should, every few moments, take merit and pack it up and send it to Rabbi David's heart for health, for arichot yamim v'shanim. And you know, Rabbi David, I would like to ask you to call together a bet din. I had to do this myself at one point. You added the name Raphael, and for this I'm very glad. But also, should your soul having made at one point some kind of a vow as to when you have to leave this world, that you should annul that vow, and that many more years should be added to you to be able, after having gone through this ordeal and the learning that has come to you in this ordeal, that you should be able to capitalize it and invest it and teach us more and more. And I'm looking forward, with God's help, that we will spend time and share space together. Mi sheberach avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, David u'Shlomo, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leo, Bila, Zilpa. Hu yevarech et Morenu, Harav, David Rafael ben Linora, בעבור שאנחנו מבורכים אותו. בשכר זה הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליו, להחלימו ולרפאותו, להחזיקו ולחיותו, וישלח לו במהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, לרמ"ח איבריו ושא גידיו, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, השתא, בעגלא ובזמן קריב, ונאמר, אמן.